I'm not sure how to move forward in marketing.
If you're not actually asking for business, you will not get business. You need to start going outside your comfort zone. This is working a little. All right. Well, you had a very interesting topic, and I'm sure you're not alone in this. Tell me about what is your worry with business? Tell me all the things.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not alone in this. I've seen a couple of posts that were similar to the way I'm feeling in the group. And basically, what happened with me personally was I moved to a new state and a new city. And I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to keep going with photography at all, let alone try to remarket myself and rebrand myself in a new area, or if I wanted to just travel back and forth to my old city whenever I got my clients scheduled or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was trying to toy with the idea of not doing photography, what that looked like for me, for my family. And then an ideal client just kind of poofed out of nowhere. She was amazing. And we scheduled a session and she paid for an album up front and she paid my full price session fee without a blink of an eye. And she was amazing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go all in. And then I found another client who was great and we scheduled headshots and we did everything we were supposed to do. And then all of a sudden the leads stopped appearing. And I was like, oh no, what did I do? What do I do? And I just told myself, okay, well, I don't have to chase it. I can attract my ideal clients by just being who I am and just showing up. And so I was diving into mindset work. I was doing the workbooks. I was doing all of the things. But I think I might have dove so far into the mental health part of it that I neglected the marketing part of it. And so now that I'm feeling on less shaky ground, I'm not sure how to move forward in marketing or how to find my ideal clients or how to allow them to find me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to kind of prioritize that mental health and mindset part of my business so that I don't get so far gone into it that I need to step back from my business entirely to recover again, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. I completely get all of this and I identify with all of this because I've been there too. So, yeah. So, one of my favorite things to remember is that success comes down to method, mindset, and magic. And I think you actually discovered these in the reverse order. You had instant magic when your feet hit the ground in the new area. And that is so affirming. And that's the really cool thing. I mean, usually for other people, it's the other way around. First, they work on method, then they get their mindset right, and then wow, there's the magic. And the magic is like the right door opens at the right time, and suddenly someone wants your business that you weren't expecting, and so all those things. So, yeah, you just had it in the reverse order. But the piece that I know that you know you're missing is the method piece, because now you've gotten the magic for free. You had the mindset work, but the big question is, how are you marketing? And that comes down to method. And what are the methods that you're using to grow your business? So what did you use to grow your business when you first set boots on the ground in this new market? What kind of marketing were you doing?
Well, when I first started photography, I started like a bunch of other people, mom with a camera.
Yes.
And look out for me. Here I come with my camera, whether you're ready or not.
Okay.
And I found myself in a very affluent neighborhood already. So I kind of had all of those clients around me already. And they saw me out there with my camera. So they wanted me to take their picture. And I was a shoot and burn photographer. So I was shooting and I was burning.
and I would say you're shooting and burning out, right? Was that the story?
Yeah.
Shoot and burn out.
Yes. Actually joined your group probably a couple of years before I actually bought Level Up.
Oh, okay.
And I joined because of some other photography group, but I saw that your group was very different from the other photography groups that I was in. And I started being like, oh, I haven't been looking at photography like a business. I've been looking at it as something that I enjoy and that people want me to do for them, but I didn't look at it like that. So I was like, okay, well, what's my cost of doing business? And then I was terrified. And
Yeah,
I
there's
was like,
okay,
oh,
so you are just pushing away method, right? It's like, okay, cost of doing
yes.
business, marketing techniques, but yeah, that's the major challenge. So what did you discover? Did you ever put those spreadsheets down and say, I must average this? What was that number?
My average was 3,000 a photo shoot for it to be worth my time.
Great.
And that was a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
But it was a scary number for me because I grew up in poverty. So $3,000 for someone sitting with me for an hour seemed like, oh gosh, how am I going to make that happen? And then I realized, oh wow, I have money mindset things going on that I didn't even realize I had going on.
Yep.
And I couldn't even say that number out loud to myself, like looking in the mirror. I couldn't get myself to even say the number. So I was like, okay, let's do this mindset work. And I did it. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to show up with my camera again. But this time I'm going to have my business cards and I'm going to have everything set up. And so I just went back out into my community the same way that I did the first time, except
Cool.
this time I had my business set up to actually make money.
Nice.
And yeah, so I kind of just pulled in the customers and the people that were around that I had already worked with.
Hmm.
And it seemed to work out for me. It seemed like it was going great. And then it was like things started slowing down, but even slower, I was making more money per session than I did if I was booked every single day. So
Not
I
bad.
wasn't as worried about it. But now
Yeah.
it's like they're not coming in. So I don't know what to do.
Exactly. So I think the whole answer here is you just need to go back to the foundations and do the marketing piece right. And what you did when you first started may not be the same things you need to do today, because today we're in, I mean, obviously you're in a new city, so you have a special situation all by yourself, but we're also in a little tougher economical times. There are more photographers than ever before. There is, people are being a bit more tight with their money here in 2025. So we
Yeah.
need to go out and do the proactive things. And so I want you to keep the mindset strong and keep doing all that work. Cause I mean, my gosh, you're going to be doing that work from now till the end of time. Like the money
I
mindset,
know.
you're going to keep uncovering more and more and more, and you're going to find more things. Oh, I didn't even know I had that block. Okay. So that I want you to still keep working on the mindset stuff, still keep just letting the door be open to magic, because hey, I like that the universe is on your side. I like that things worked for you, but really the focus now has to be method. And so let's think about what is method. So you were out there and you were prepared. You had your business card, you were doing that. But big question, how many days a week are you actively networking, like out at a networking meeting?
Not nearly enough.
Uh-huh. So like probably we might not even be able to say how many times per week. Is it even once per month? What does that look like?
Well, basically, I have found that network meetings aren't necessarily my strong suit because the
Yep.
more people are around, the more I feel myself kind of shrink into the background and
Yep.
not kind of push myself forward. And I found that with with for myself with marketing, I do so much better in situations where like my kids are doing gymnastics and I'm just chatting with a mom that's there watching her kids, or
Cool.
I'm at the park with my kids and the other kids are playing and I'm just chatting with the parents that are on the sidelines. I can really easily connect in those moments, but in situations where I feel very pressured to connect, it's
Huh.
almost like my brain says, no, I can't do that. Like, I
Okay.
don't know.
So let's take that apart, because that's in some ways really brave that you're just talking to people and just striking up conversations. And I actually envy that, because that's a challenge for me. I feel better when I'm supposed to be networking. So for me, it's easy to go to a networking meeting. I should say easier to go to a
Yeah,
networking meeting, because I know, hey, we're supposed to be there. We're supposed to be talking about our businesses. But here
yeah.
you are, and you're just striking up conversations. So you have a good dose of bravery on your side, and don't let that go, because that is networking. The definition of networking is that how many people know, trust, and like you. That's it. That's all that networking is. Your network is the people in the community that know, trust, and like you. So what you need to do now is you need to have more people know, trust, and like you. So you need to increase the number of people that have exposure to you. And then simultaneously, it can't stop there. It's not just about do people know, trust, and like me, because you could be the most popular person around. And if you're not actually asking for business, you will not get business. So part
That,
one, make friends. Part two, invite friends in as clients. And my guess is that I like that this is in your comfort zone. It's okay for you to be at the park chatting with people, to be at gymnastics chatting. But is that happening with enough regularity? And are you seeing the same people over and over again? Because that kind of feels like it could be hit or miss. Like maybe you see one parent and then you don't see them again for another year. I mean, are you seeing people regularly enough that you can have that ability to build a friendship with them?
there are a few that I have seen regularly at the park that
Hmm.
go at a certain time, and there is a regular group of parents at the different classes that
Cool.
come. And honestly, when I meet new people and I'm talking to them, I try to bring my camera and try to be taking pictures during the whole interaction and
Okay.
kind of showing them the back of my camera and asking if I can take a picture of their kid because they're close to mine or whatever, and saying, "Oh, look at this picture." And then saying, "Oh, when was the last time you had professional pictures done?" And
Okay.
stuff like that. And kind of doing like a almost like a consultation call, but just right there at the park.
Okay.
So I don't see very many new people. Like I'll see a random person every once in a while, but I
Hmm.
also try to the city that I am in has a park every few blocks. So I
Ah,
try
nice.
to make sure that when I do go to a park, I'm going to a different park or I'm going to a different play area or I'm going to these different places. So I'm not only meeting up with the people who have seen me and know me, but I'm also showing up to these newer areas where they haven't necessarily seen me, but they see me with my camera and they see me taking pictures. And I just figured that would be an interesting way to be like, oh, well, I'm a photographer. Here's my card.
Okay, gotcha. The one there's a lot of upside to this because you are taking the principles of making friends. You're giving them something valuable. You're telling them a bit about what you do. The downside of this is that it could be coming on too strong. So, what I like to relate it to is think about. Let's say you desperately want to be married. You've just decided it's your time of life to be married. And how are you going to go meet a spouse? Well, if you show up at a bar and you buy someone a drink, they might be like, okay, you're interesting. But if you ask them to marry you at that same moment, they are going to think you're a freak. so,
Yeah, that's
so
true.
yeah. So the problem is right now, it's almost like you're asking for their hand in marriage and they're like, who are you? Slow down, buddy. So what I think you need to do is you need to create a method that you can see these people several times before you ask them for the hand in marriage, because going to that consultation mode, that's pretty deep in. So you want to be able to, like, yes, give them exposure to you, yes, build that friendship, but don't go in for the kill right away. so
Yeah,
so
that
think
makes
about it.
sense.
We need to go on a date, we need to take our time with this, and then eventually yes. So if the method of the park or the gymnastics is working, I don't want you to stop that. But I do think it's time to add another layer because that is your comfort zone. But now to get to the next level, you need to start going outside your comfort zone, because what's happened is this is working a little. It's not
Yeah.
working enough. There aren't enough people building enough relationships with you that you can have a steady book of business. So, and I was in the exact same boat. Like when I started, I was, all right, I'm not going to do shoot and burn anymore. I'm going to price full service, full luxury. And I
Yeah.
had 11 clients my first year full time. And then, sorry, my first year part time. So I was like, okay, with 11 clients at a $3,300 average, that's 33,000. But 33,000, I don't get to keep all 33,000. I have
Yeah.
bills to pay. So I would be lucky if I made 10 or 15,000 that year. So I said, all right, really where the money's at is I have to be making 100,000 or more if I want to keep any kind of serious income for myself. And I said, this is not going to happen by just talking to moms on the playground sporadically. Because, yeah, my whole first year, that was just the relationships I had from mom groups, from playgrounds, just like you have right now. But it didn't get me far enough. So I said, okay, now it's time to go outside the comfort zone. It's time to start doing networking with much more frequency. Because that first time I asked you, I said, how much are you doing per week? You didn't have a great answer. So it sounds like it's probably not happening near as much as it should. A good target would be 2 networking events per week, and that you're going to the types of events where you're going to see the same people over and over again so you can actually have time to build that relationship. So
That
this
makes
is
sense.
your next step. Are you willing to accept this mission?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So it's going to mean you're getting outside your comfort zone. And as long as you know that, I think it makes it better because it's like, okay, this is going to feel uncomfortable for a bit. Just like once upon a time when you first picked up your camera, it felt really uncomfortable at first. It was like,
Yeah.
what's manual mode? What is aperture priority? And now you can do it blindfolded. So it's the
Yeah.
same thing with networking. It's going to feel very uncomfortable. And about a couple months or a year from now, you'll say, wow, I can now do this blindfolded. It's not scary anymore. So what would it take for you to have to work on networking? Because I know it's going to be uncomfortable for you, but what do you think is going to be the major issue? Do you need more scripts and strategies? Do you need to know where to go? Like, what is the major reason why you haven't started it yet?
There's a couple of different reasons.
Mhm.
One is because I don't know where to go or
Okay.
where to start.
Okay.
A script would be great too, of course,
Okay.
but it's also, I feel like my balancing of my business and my personal life and my mental health is struggling. So I feel like I'm really good at saying, you know what, I will go 2 times a week, and going
Yeah.
2 times a week for a month or 2 months, and then saying, oh my gosh, I did too much and I completely neglected my mental health. And I think
Yeah.
that that might be something that I just have to figure out how to prioritize to be
Yeah.
able to get to a point where it's like I feel like I can do it, not like I feel like I'm forcing myself to do it, if that makes sense.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a work-life balance struggle as well as, a mental health struggle in here too. And so maybe it could be that it's just not you just don't have the ability to push as hard as your ambition might be telling you to push. So if, for example, now you keep mentioning playground gymnastics, so you're a mom. How many kids
Yes.
do you have? What are their ages?
I have 2 daughters. They are
Uh-huh.
7 and 5.
Okay, and right now I'm sure they're home from school because it's summer.
Yes.
Okay. So right now you're the go-to parent, I imagine. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. If you were have you had the opportunity to apply for like part-time work, or has it just been an agreement with your family that you're going to be the go-to parent and so your hours are supposed to be dedicated at home? Like is there if you were to apply for a job, how many hours, let's take photography off the table and just consider any job that you're applying for, how many hours would be a good agreement that your family could say you could do that many hours at this job?
I believe when we had our last like money meeting, we
Mhm.
talked about me getting a part-time job if the photography didn't work out, and we
Okay.
agreed on 25 hours a week.
Great. Okay. I like it. That is actually a lot more than I thought you were going to say. And is that 25 hours a week? Is that something you could even do in the summertime with kids home from school?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a lot of, I mean, I don't have a lot of help, but I have a reliable person that if I needed to drop my kids off and go, they would be there.
Okay, great. All right, so 25 hours a week. Does that look like 5 days at 5 hours or does that look like 3 8-hour days? What how would you imagine that would work?
I don't really know.
Okay.
For photography, I have been spending about 2 to 3 hours a day on my business, whether it's working on the editing that I've already done that I would love to outsource eventually, but I'm not there yet, or messaging back and forth between people, or looking up different places and locations and all of the stuff, and trying to get myself into these places where I feel like my clients would be, and
Mhm.
dedicating time to go to the parks and the places that hopefully they would be there for.
Mhm.
But I it's like 2 or 3 hours a day that I'm spending on it, and I would love to have something that's more structured, but I just don't
Yeah.
know how to do it.
Okay, so the first question to how are you going to solve this problem of balance and how are you going to solve this problem of mental health? I always say if it doesn't work on paper, it can't work in real life. And so what's happening right now is you're trying to make something work and you don't have the structure. You haven't
Yes.
defined when you're going to work and where and how and all these details. I mean, you vaguely know you have someone who can support you. You vaguely know it's 25 hours, but I want you to do this with the seriousness as if you were applying for a job. If you were going
Okay.
and filling out an application today, you would have to know, okay, my family has agreed that I can work Monday 9 to 2 and Tuesday this to that. And you would have it very defined. And when you have
Yes.
those hours, because 2 to 3 hours a day, I do understand how it feels like, oh, well, that's enough to get something done. It's really not. 2 to 3 hours a day is enough to procrastinate for 30 minutes, sit down for an hour, do some editing, not make enough progress on that, go get a snack. I mean, that's what 2 to 3 hours is.
Yes.
So you need to treat this as if you're doing a real job because it is. It's a real job. And if your family has decided this is a real job that you're going to pursue, you need set in stone, concrete hours, and you need a plan on paper. And I
Okay.
think the first part is going to be once you start doing that, once you get the concrete structure, then you can start assigning priorities to those very important hours because you and I both know editing photos doesn't make you money. By the time you're
No.
editing photos, you've already made the money. So you
Yes.
need to do the things that get the client in the door. And that is the marketing work, the in person
Yes.
marketing work. And I also don't want it to be like this wishy washy, just like if I was an employer who was hiring you, you wouldn't come on the job with your kid. You would have your own structured hours to do the work. Right now,
Yes.
you're actually doing both you and your daughters a disservice because you're trying to fit in networking while simultaneously doing the mom stuff. And it needs
Yes.
to
And
be like,
that's where
no,
I feel like I'm struggling because I feel
yeah,
like I'm trying to split myself into all these different directions, but
yeah,
either direction I'm going in, I'm not fully there, so I can't make it
yeah.
work.
Exactly. That's the heart of the stress right there is that you are doing everything halfway. You're not doing anything fully and all the mom guilt is building and all the business owner guilt is building because you're not doing anything like you want to be doing. You're doing everything on half measures.
Yeah.
So, we need to look at this as if it's a real job and have a structured week. Where do the hours come out? And then that will start to answer the next question. Where do you network? When do you network? You might find, as I have, that there's a ton of networking events at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. And then once you know that, you're like, okay, that's going to be a networking chunk for me. And, hey, while I have my hair and makeup done, why don't I also go do a luncheon with the chamber? So make Wednesday the networking day. And there you have it. And then if your intention is to do things like playgrounds gymnastics, you can say, well, maybe I could even up that. Maybe I could have a more dedicated amount of time that I'm working with the private schools in my area, that I could show up and photograph them for marketing purposes. You can be much more intentional when the hours are your own, when they're not being
Yes.
split and shared between mom time and business owner time.
That makes sense.
Yes. So here's the homework I'm going to give you because we're not going to solve all these things at once, but hopefully now there's more clarity on what's wrong and what are the solutions to make things right. So the solutions are you have ambition to be a great business owner and you've seen that it works. You've had $3,000 sales. You've had clients who love what you do and you in turn love giving at this high level. So I think the more you can tap into this is your calling. You're capable of this. You're rewarded when you do it. But now you need to treat it as if it is the real profession it is. And that means more money team talk with your family. And where are the hours coming for you? What is going to be dedicated and allocated? And then just start plotting it out and look at, okay, I need coverage here. Those hours are going to go here and you start prioritizing that. And the big focus is going to be being out in the community and getting more people to know, trust, and like you. And then once people know, trust, and like you, you've already got the scripts. You know what to do next. It's the bonus section in Level Up. It's going to show you exactly how to make that ask and bring clients in the door with a gift card offer. And you need to do that to the tune of for every one booking you want, you simply need to make 3 solid asks because statistically, if someone knows, trusts, and likes you, you will convert at a rate of 30%. So
Okay.
you'll get there. But right now, the first thing has to be how do you go and meet more people? And using those business hour times to really build this business in the way you want it to see it built.
Okay, so basically, I can prioritize mental health. I just need to structure my schedule in a way that allows time for everything and actually be intentional about what I do with my time and where I put that time. And
Yes.
there is enough time to prioritize it. I just have to make sure that my schedule is structured in a way that allows me to do that.
Yes, 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 yes. You're on to the right path. So the problem is right now, everything is being half measures because it's all being mixed together into one big pot. I
Yes.
would rather see you say, I mean, don't go overly ambitious. Don't say, okay, I'm going to go from I never had dedicated hours to suddenly I have 25 hours. I would say give yourself 3 5-hour days at 15
Okay.
hours. I would, because then, hey, then we can go 15 hours for work, 10 hours for personal. Take
Yes.
some time to yourself. It doesn't all have to be you're fully on as mom and then you're fully on as business owner. Give yourself break time too. Every business owner out there has some days they work and some days off. And right now you have neither. You don't have days you work and you don't have days off. That's why you're
But
so
I
stressed
didn't
out.
think about that, how I
Hmm.
had been allotting time for my family and allotting time for my business, but I didn't really make time for me. And I think honestly, even just acknowledging that will be helpful
Yes.
for me in the future, because I can't forget about me. I can't do anything if I'm not working. Like if I'm
Yeah.
not able to function, then I can't do anything. So I have to take care of me. And I guess maybe I wasn't on my own priority list.
Ah,
And that's kind of
exactly.
sad.
Yeah. And is there any other person who works every hour they're awake? No, there's no one like that. I mean, I'm sure that your spouse has days off and has blocks
Yeah.
of time that they spend to themselves. Like you need those same blocks of time too. So I think a much more successful future for you will be 15 hours of work, 5 to 10 hours off instead of trying to be like every hour 24/7 I'm doing something, I'm doing something and everything is getting muddled together. It's the lack of clarity and focus and priorities that's probably stressing you out the most.
That makes total sense. So for my homework, I'm going to schedule out my week and time
Yes.
block the work days, the me time, the family time, and make sure I have it all structured so that when it is time to do something, I know what I'm supposed to be doing and I'm not diluting it with the other things. I'm just focusing on that one thing. And I might not be able to commit to 2 times a week with a network meeting, but I might be able to slowly work myself into, okay, we're doing once a week as we get into this new schedule. And then as I'm used to it,
Yep.
we'll do 2 times a week or something.
That's perfect. Yeah. And remember my schedule. I started out part time. So the same idea, 15 to 20 hours a week. And I wasn't working with 2 clients a week. I was doing 1 client per month. So the networking is going to help you achieve that 1 client a month. But the problem is right now, you're probably going months without seeing clients. And that feels terrible. So if you went from 0 clients a month to 1 client a month, that's going to feel like a win. And when you go
Yes.
from 1 client a month to 1 client a week, that's going to feel like a massive win. So it's going to
Yeah.
keep getting better. But right now, we just need to get away from the zero success and move into bits of success at a time.
Yeah. Like small wins.
That's right. And the first
Okay.
one is going to be planning some time off for you. And once you start adhering to that, I think you'll see a really, really big difference in how you approach life and how excited you are to spend the time with the girls and really be with the girls, and then spend time
Yeah.
building your business and really building your business.
Yes, that makes so much sense and that helps so much. And it's so funny that like it would be something simple that was holding me back. And it's kind of how it works for me is I'm just neglecting that one thing
Mhm.
that's like, hey, if you do this one thing, it will
Yeah.
get better. And I'm like, oh, not that thing. But
Yes.
okay.
And
So
you can tell
okay,
this.
I
I
can do
can
that.
I can feel like all the feelings beneath the surface. Like a couple times I can hear your voice crack. Like this, the fact that you're emotional about these things means these are really big, important things to you. This is your passion. You had the
Yes.
opportunity to quit photography, but something inside you said no. And that's your passion and that's your calling. And so you need to listen to this calling. You need to treat it with a lot of seriousness, but you need to also respect that you are still a human and a mom and you have all these roles to play. So let's figure out how to make all these roles work together.
Yes. Thank you so much. I feel lighter. Like I have a plan to move forward.
Good, 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 good. And it'll keep getting better and better. So just, one step at a time, but your homework this week, plot out those hours.
Perfect. Thank you so much for
You
taking
got
the
it.
time to talk with me. And congratulations on the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for being my first call ever.
Oh, no problem. I'm honored.
All right. Talk to you later. Want to fix your biz? If you're a professional photographer or aspiring pro, you need to join me in the best business group on the internet. Rise to the Top with Megan DiPiero. Ask your business question in the group, and you might just be my next podcast guest. Join now at rttt.life.